Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Think Tank Sports. Think Tank Sports, where we think and you listen. Check us out on the socials: Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Listen to us on Spotify for podcasters or wherever you get your podcasts. We are out there for you to listen to, and we're out there for you to watch too on YouTube. So keep doing that. We like it. We like putting the video content out there. Do you realize, Mike, I looked at this the other day. We've been putting out YouTube content for a year.
Have we really? Wow,
I was like,
that's
oh
impressive.
my goodness. The fact that you all have stayed with us for a year after we have shown our faces to the world,
Yeah, that's
thank you
yes,
to
yes.
our
Thank you
tens of
very much.
fans. But so,
Appreciate it.
anyways, as you continue to watch, we're here to talk week 3 in the NFL, which had some compelling storylines. And yeah, last year, I remember it was like week after week after week. The NFL just had some incredible games.
Right.
So far, Mike, I feel like it's just week after week of just, I don't want to say strange games, but just, I don't know. There's
Well, I
no
mean, it's
there's no
obviously
consistency to it, but there's always these big storylines.
yeah, and it would be easy to point out, fewer practices, less intense practices, fewer preseason games, all of that. I mean, Joe Burrow said it best. If you don't play in the preseason, you just can't come in a rhythm. So, the days of when we grew up, two-a-days are gone forever. At every level now. So you're going to get these sloppy games early, but I do feel like this week we started to see some teams mature, and so we'll look at it, game by game, of course. So let's go all the way back in the time machine, Dave, to last Thursday
Ugh.
when my New
Should we
York
though?
Football Giants. Yeah, I mean, we're compelled to, right?
I guess.
They put on the uniforms and came out of the tunnel against the San Francisco 49ers, who proceeded to just beat them up. Now, you know, I mean, Bosa was a problem all game. Just couldn't get him blocked. Their linebackers are incredible. Kept Waller pretty much in check until garbage time. Just a great imaginative offense. The Giants, I think, played tough. They're certainly tired and banged up from the road trip and,
Mhm.
Thursday night game, of course, after a really um, difficult comeback against what we're now seeing is at least a decent
Mm.
Arizona Cardinal team.
Yeah, yeah, that
A
that
tough,
victory looks better already.
yeah, a very tough Cardinal team up front,
Yeah.
and came in with some key injuries. And everyone focuses on Saquon, and that's true. But Anthony, or is it Andrew Thomas, the left
Andrew Thomas.
tackle?
Yep.
Yeah, out 2 games in a row now, and the shuffling of the line because of that has been difficult
Yeah.
on Danny, and he he's playing well, but so ultimately, that's all I'm really gonna say about this game, unless you have some stats or something you want to throw in there. But I do want to give an analogy of what it's like to be a Giants fan right now. This is the pro sports, our NFL podcast, but anybody that's probably listening does also follow college. So for me, this year, the Giants fan is like being a Wisconsin Badger fan. Okay, that we're going to be pretty decent. There's a lot of teams in our division or in our schedule that we can beat, but we know there's monsters ahead of us. And in college, for Wisconsin, even if they run the entire Western Division of the Big Ten, you've got Penn State, Ohio State, and Michigan on the East, and they're going to have to go through them maybe a couple of times to actually get into the playoffs. And that's where the Giants are right now. There's monsters ahead of them, and they've played 2 of them now. Dallas certainly took a shot to the gut this week, and we'll
Hmm.
get to that. But they played 2 of the 3 monsters ahead of them in Dallas, Philly, and the Niners, and they're 1-2. They won the game they're supposed to win. Do I like how it all came together? No, but
Mm.
realistically, this is where we are. So am I making sense or am I just rambling?
Yeah, no, they are who we thought they were.
Right. Yeah. Very
As
good.
simple as that.
And apropos, since we keep referencing the Cardinals.
Yes.
Um,
And so an interesting thought that I had, Mike, as you were talking about um, the preseason and nobody playing, and Nick Bosa didn't play in the preseason,
yeah.
but somehow,
Some
some way, the guy just comes out and is just an absolute terror, and not just in the Giants game.
Well, he's in a position where he can flaunt his individual ability, his a clearly God-given athletic ability,
Yeah,
is
well, I mean,
superior to the
sure,
superior, most superior athletes on the planet. So
sure, and
it's not the ebbs and flows of offensive and defensive planning and game management and all that stuff. That nobody, even the coaches, aren't in regular season form yet.
yeah, no, they're
So
bound to get bigger as they continue to eat more. Anyway,
anyway, let's get into the 1 o'clock
woo,
slate. I mean, you want to start with your Bills since we're on the roll here?
sure, yeah, we could do that.
Yeah, not much of a game,
No,
quite
and it
honestly.
was interesting because it kind of felt like,
Oh, I'm sorry. Before you get going, I have to make a
yes,
confession in front of God and the entire internet. I stole a game from the NFL on Sunday.
oh,
Somehow we had a Wi-Fi reset, and my smart TV connected to the Syracuse stations. So
ah,
I got your game,
they got the Bills, yeah,
and then I got the Packers,
Saints and
not Saints
Packers,
Packers
yep.
on Fox. But on my iPad, I got my Albany stations, which was like you don't really get. So I got
Hmm.
Jets Patriots as well.
Ah,
So and the Fox was the same game. The
so
Packers
is
and
that a
everything. So
triple dip?
I guess I triple dipped on the NFL. So anyway, so I was able to
You know
watch your
what,
game, which
Mike?
I normally wouldn't have. Is my point.
They have more money than God. So if you just happen to dip into that a little bit, good for you.
Thank you. And I
Good
reset the Wi-Fi after,
for
and everything went back to normal.
no, well, that's your fault for doing that.
Yeah, probably.
I
Probably a mistake.
discovered an interesting thing. So I have YouTube TV,
Yeah, me too.
and I was watching the Bills, and I look, and there's an option to select like multiple games,
Yeah,
and I clicked
multi-vid.
on that, and whoop, now I have the Bills game and the Packers game on the same screen.
Dave, do it on a Saturday. Oh my goodness, you get a
Oh, the
quad
four
box.
games. Yes, I did actually,
So
I did see that, and I was
the
like,
only
oh
downside is you can't choose what's in the quad boxes. You
no,
can choose
you just get,
which you're listening to, but you
yes,
get what they get. But when you have all those games going on,
yeah,
especially from noon to 5, 6 o'clock, you're going to get options. So
yeah.
I'll have 4 games on my TV and 4 games on my iPad. And my wife was like, "You're absolutely nuts." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's true."
I did see the four. I didn't pay much attention to the fact on Saturday that I could, continue to watch that because I basically put it up there and found a game and went to it.
Right,
But on Sunday I did. The only thing that the downside, and I get it, is it's the widescreen format. So
right.
the games don't, for me, didn't fill the screen.
Oh,
Um,
oh yeah.
and they were small. Um, but
I think there's adjustments you can make on your TV to make it
yeah,
better, not great, but
and
anyway,
and maybe so. Here's the two old guys going, "Oh, look
yeah.
what we could do on our
Look what
TVs."
technology got
Oh,
YouTube TV. Saw the thing.
but
There's the
anyway,
Google machine.
yes. So we got, it's just all very interesting. But
All right, Bills
yes,
37-3
yes, the
stomping
Bills.
of
Um,
Sam Howell's future
yeah,
at quarterback. I don't know.
yeah. Well, no, I mean he'll still play because who else are the Commanders going to put out there? It's not like they're going to put Taylor Heineke back out there.
He's not there, right?
And he's not there. Well, maybe they can get
Mm,
Fitzmagic. You seen that commercial with the Fitzmagic
yeah,
and My younger son Josh
Jacoby
saw that.
Brissett might be a better
Oh, the
uh,
Jets should get him.
option. Anyway, sorry,
Anyways, yeah, yeah. So
I had to look it up. Your
yeah,
son
no, it's
saw
all
it.
right. Yep, my son saw the Fitzmagic commercial and he just died laughing. And I'm like, "Oh, you haven't seen that yet?" He's like, "No." And we have been
Uh,
talking about Fitzmagic earlier for something else. I don't know how it came up. It was rather humorous. Anyways, let's
sure.
get to the Bills. Uh, this was a game. It was kind of a slog. I mean, the Bills were like slowly, making some progress, and Washington was not looking all that good. Um, through three quarters, it's only 16-0. Um, and one of the things that as I reflected on the entire game, as Mike said, it was 37-3. They spent what I thought was an inordinate amount of time talking about Eric Bieniemy and how
Yes.
good the offense was and how talented they were. And they kept saying, well, he says they're more talented than they know, and they have all this potential to be really good. I'm sorry. At some point during that game, you need to say,
It's not happening today.
no, maybe
It's
not in
the
this game.
it's this. I hate to bring this into it, but it's
No.
the specter of racism. It really is because there's
Oh,
a reason Eric Bieniemy has not got a head coaching job, and I promise you, no matter what he looked like, no matter what, if he was rainbow, he would get a job if his ability was to lead a team to the Super Bowl. But
mm,
there's something in his past, there's something in his personality, there's something in his interview. Something is stopping him, but it's him. It's not the Rooney rules, and I guess I'm trying to eloquently say, stop judging the situation through a racial lens and just look at
mm.
him. He's a bad football coach. He could very well be a
A
bad
bad
football
football
coach.
coach. Yeah. It's
Right.
interesting. An interesting take. I was not going to go in that direction. I was going to say it's the
Oh
Kansas
my
City
God.
Chief bias.
Okay.
And
Okay.
because there's this
The
obsession.
Andy Reid coaching tree
Yeah.
bias. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a little bit of both. It's some of what
Okay.
you said and some of what I said. I don't want to discount either opinion here, but they
Okay.
spent way too much time talking about it. And I'm
Yes.
like, it's
Agreed. Either way.
like you have got to stop in this game and say, you know, hey, we talked about Bieniemy and all of this stuff, but the Bills defense is showing this team that they have some work to do. And you didn't hear Andrew Catalan say that, and you didn't hear Matt Ryan say that. Um, Disappointingly so, as far as I'm concerned. But the
Right.
Bills defense absolutely dominated dominated this game. 9 sacks, 4 interceptions, a
Oof.
fumble. One of the interceptions they ran back for a touchdown. Washington 1 for 9 on third downs, 230 yards. They only got the field goal at the very end, and I feel like Bieniemy, they decided to kick that just to give the offense some semblance of success. But this game was the defense absolutely dominated, and the Bills offense did enough. Look, the running was great. They had 168
Yeah.
yards rushing the ball, 5.1 yards per carry. Josh Allen slid and went out of bounds. Come to find out, I don't know if you saw this, Mike. I was reading this today that there were some bets with the Bills, and Josh Allen was collecting money from from his
Oh,
teammates
really?
because
No.
they didn't think he would slide. So he slid a bunch of
Uh,
times. He's like, "Well, I'm going to be collecting some money for that."
I
Hey,
noticed.
whatever motivates him to not take big hits on the field.
I noticed the first time he slid, and it was the turf was very slick, and it was
Yes, because it
ripe
had been
for a
raining
nice
and
long
stuff.
slide. But he put a little extra flourish on it, and so now that I know that in context.
Yep, that is
So
exactly the case. Um, but the Bills just the defense was
yeah,
unbelievable.
and the
Um,
offense didn't have to work that hard, and even they get a nice long touchdown to Gabe Davis, early. I
yep,
did think the Washington pass rush early was a problem, but
it,
we
it
figured out how
was,
to
but
block
then
it.
yeah,
Yeah,
then it just stopped.
Right. What you do to all great pass rushers, and what Dallas found out is you don't go around them, you go through them, and
Yeah.
that's exactly what happened. Your front line really should be commended
Yeah.
for the running game and then the pass protection.
Yeah. Yeah.
One
They
more quick
just,
gripe about the broadcast.
sure.
Uh, Several cuts to Magic Johnson and Cookie in the owner's box, and then
Oh,
a new owner was
ownership.
there. A couple of times they had a special package, even I think, coming back from break. And I get it; everyone's happy that Daniel Snyder's gone, but do we have to keep dancing on his grave? I know he deserves it on most levels. I'm not a Daniel Snyder defender, but I just felt heavy-handed to me. Maybe I'm reading something into it.
Yeah,
That's not
I did
true.
not see the Magic and Cookie things. I did see the ownership. I do remember them talking about it.
Yeah.
It's important to say, right? And they, after early on, Chase Young had a big play, and they said, great play by Chase Young. And they
Yep.
said, he said something about the ownership, and you noticed little things. That's great. That
Yep.
was like the perfect, you know, laying
Segue
it
to
in
that.
there,
Yep.
segue, whatever you want to call it, to the ownership. But yeah, after that, okay, we've covered it. You know,
Right.
we're 3 games in now, and you can get off that subject and focus on the actual game. Um, yeah, it
All
just
right. Let's move on. We've been hammering these guys enough, I think, buddy.
yes,
Lions put it to the Falcons pretty easy, 20-16. Really, not much to see. The
20 and 20 to 6 as well.
or 20-6, excuse me. Both scores did not happen. 20-6. So there's a Laporta kid for Detroit, the tight end that had a big game.
Yeah, loved
Made
it.
it.
I picked him up in fantasy this week
Oh,
because
look
I
at you.
saw he was like one of the best tight ends, and yep, he produced for me, so I was very happy.
So we touched on the other game on Fox in the early slot was Packers Saints, and this was a
Oh,
wild one, Dave. The tale of two halves,
yep.
to be sure. 17-0 Saints at halftime, and unfortunately, Derek Carr goes out
Yeah, with a
with
shoulder injury.
shoulder injury and on his throwing arm, and Dennis Allen and the boys just took the foot off the gas with Jameis Winston at quarterback. And, I understand trepidation and trying to protect the lead and trying to protect him. But if he's your backup, you got to let him rip it a little,
Oh, and he's got
especially with a whole
plenty of
half.
experience too. I mean,
Exactly.
it's not like he's a rookie going in there for his first time. Okay, does he throw some interceptions? Sure, but he's
Mm-hmm.
got some experience.
Right. Right. Absolutely. So I thought there was a real mistake, decision by the coaching staff. And then when they tried to put it back on, it was too late. The momentum was all on Green Bay's side. And Green Bay's defense in the second half just stiffened right up. And it became a problem at the line of scrimmage and tighter coverage and all those things. So all the scoring for Green Bay happens in the fourth quarter, Dave.
Yeah,
Uh,
18 points for Green Bay. Mike, these drives, 7 plays, 46 yards a minute 50, 7 plays, 80 yards a minute 29, 9 plays, 80 yards, 227.
right.
I mean,
Great.
fast, efficient
Efficient.
drives. And yeah, they get the lead and they're able to hang on. Boy, Green Bay looked dead in the water.
Yeah. So this is the Jordan Love grew up game. This
Yep.
backs are against the wall. 2-1 and 1-2 are drastically different. It's early in the season. Like you said, they look dead in the water, lethargic, and they rallied the troops and around Jordan Love, and he delivered. So I got to, I'm open to changing my opinion. I've still been kind of negative but undecided on Jordan Love, but this proved a lot to me. So I was impressed, and equally, I thought the Saints looked great in the first half. Dave, I mean, with Carr at the quarterback, it was a whole different team
Yeah.
offensively. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know how long he'll be out yet. I don't know if there's any reports. I forgot to look it up before we came
Yeah.
on, but
I have not looked either, but I think probably not hearing anything, that could
yeah,
be a good thing. Who knows?
Right.
But yeah, that would be a big blow. And, and again, we've talked for a few weeks. The Saints defense, is pretty good despite giving up 18 points in the fourth quarter. They only gave up 18 points. I mean,
Right.
they continue to be a solid
Their
unit.
offense did not help them at all.
No.
At all at the end of that game. They could not. They had several opportunities, third and short, and couldn't even come close to executing. So,
Yeah.
speaking of executing, Dave, once the famous coach Jim Mora was asked, "How do you feel about the execution of your team?" And he said, "Yeah, I'm all for it."
We
And
didn't do
that's got
diddly poo on offense. We couldn't stop anybody on defense. Yes.
yes. The Broncos should have that kind of press conference, especially with their defense. I mean, that's embarrassing. 70 burger. They put a 70 burger on them. I mean, fight for something or die for or whatever this quote is. And your
Yeah.
boy, the coach Sean
Payton.
Payton. Thank you. When I go like this, it means I'm looking for a bailout.
Yes, I saw that. Yeah.
Sean Payton. I mean, just embarrassing, especially in the wake of his quotes. And I don't want to hear people now saying, and I'm talking about like Ryan Clark and Rex Ryan this morning and Get Up. Oh, when Sean Payton said that, I said, "Well, be careful what you say." No, you didn't. You were
No, you
laughing
didn't. You
along.
laughed about it,
Sean
and you
Payton's
thought
got
Sean Payton,
credibility because
yeah,
he's
he's
won
going to
one
be
Super
so
Bowl.
successful. And
Yeah.
nope,
So,
nope.
yeah, I'm going to hold people's feet to the fire on that, and I'll get the receipts, as the kids say.
Yep. 70-20 this game. I mean, it was ugly. I saw, there's umpteen memes about everything these days, right? But there was one that I saw that was your nerd coach there for the Dolphins, like
McDonald.
in the stands. There was like a picture of him with the headset, like in the stands, like, oh, he was calling plays from the stands with the fans and stuff. 70's ugly. The second highest point total in the history of the league. The Dolphins was 724 yards, the second highest yard total ever in a game. And they had an opportunity, Mike, to kick a field goal late. The record is 72 points. They had an opportunity to kick a field goal late.
That was done against.
Okay, we won't.
It's my New York Football Giants.
Yeah. So they didn't do that. Good for them. I mean, 70 is just bad enough. Like, it doesn't need to be 73. But yeah, if watching highlights, I mean, oh my gosh, Denver's defense is so.
The tackling, Dave. There was one that Moser.
Hold on. What tackling?
Yeah, exactly. Moser went down the sideline, tippy-toed. No one still got there. Then missed an arm tackle. Somebody got near him, but didn't even try to push him out of bounds, and they just ran it in. We got to talk about the no-look shovel pass to A-Chain.
Yeah,
they brought Tyreek Hill in motion like it was going to be a jet sweep, which is a pretty common play that they run at the goal line. And Tua just no-look past it
with his right hand.
With his right hand, thank you.
Yeah, Tua is left-handed.
A-Chain caught it, and to A-Chain's credit, there was some traffic in the middle there, and he just bust through it for a touchdown. What a fun! And that was 14-7 at the time, so that made it 21-7. So it wasn't in garbage time when they were doing that.
No, it was not. Thank you, Marv Albert. What I would say is that's a play that you see the Chiefs run a lot for Kelsey.
Right.
The Chiefs scored with McKinnon on that yesterday. So people are starting to do that and use that, that Chiefs play, if you will. And just,
we're seeing, speaking
with some variations on it.
Yeah, we're seeing is the diamond formation for the quarterback sneak that the Eagles have been doing this year. I saw it all over college, all over the pros yesterday. It's like, and I understand, invitation is the best form of flattery. That is a heck of a play.
Yeah.
Not a heck of a game though, Dave, in your division. Patriots Jets in just a rock fight. Just a who wants it less bowl.
Mm.
Both teams, bad coaching decisions, bad execution down the stretch. Uh, really, the Jets had what? After they went down 15-10, after they went down 13-10, they
Yeah.
had three
3 opportunities.
and one of them ended in a safety, and the other two just went just as well. It was ugly. They went backwards.
Literally.
And
Went
yeah, and
backwards.
literally, and they got bailed out even to get it to 13-10 on a phantom, in my opinion.
Yes, the pass
PI
interference.
call to
Yeah.
back at the end zone. Randall Cobb, the veteran, did a veteran move and they got away with it. So and that gave them 1st and goal to 1. Of course, they punched it in. So I don't know. Do you have anything else to say? I don't think either team looked particularly good. The Patriots defense certainly stood toe to toe with the Jets defense on this day.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I
neither
mean,
team
just
offensively has what it takes, in my opinion.
yeah. So, I mean, some good numbers for the Patriots running the ball, 40 carries, 157 yards against,
Yep.
a Jets defense that's supposedly pretty stout. Jets were 2 for 14 on 3rd down. Zach Wilson was just horrible.
I mean,
just horrible.
The guy was under duress.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he should have performed much better, and Aaron Rodgers would have had the same problem though. But I mean, he was just under duress.
Yeah.
Their line has fallen apart as the season's gone on.
Right. They had
really
injuries. They
them.
had to move Mekhi Becton over to left tackle and move somebody else to right tackle. And you really don't want to be doing that ever, but also in a big time divisional showdown. Yeah, it was bad.
So after the game, Saleh was, selling that, Zach Wilson's a much improved quarterback and he's solidly, our quarterback. And that, this is only week 3 and we knew it was going to take a while to adjust. We had all new offensive everything, whether it was Aaron or Zach, it would be an adjustment. So,
yeah.
And I get him selling that. It's kind of what he has to say.
Mm-hmm.
But it kind of reeked a little bit of save my job.
Yeah.
Just a little. A little. I'm not, and he's probably right in thinking that.
Sure. He's probably going to get some leeway given the Rodgers injury. But we'll see. I mean, they still have to win. They have to win some games. I mean, if they end up doing like a 2-15, I think he's gone.
Right. Exactly.
They got to try to do
so
7
how many
10
wins? I was going to say how many wins.
Yeah, probably 7. Yeah, probably
7.
7. I mean, 8 obviously would be better, but we'll see. One thing that I saw, just to finish up on this,
of course.
The Mac Jones gets up after a tackle and goes for the biscuits there for Sauce Gardner, and so if you haven't seen that, go check that out. Mac Jones, I don't know what you think you're doing that. Anyway,
I mean, there's cameras everywhere.
There's cameras everywhere.
Vamp Betty's nut butter's not going to make it today, boys.
Yeah.
What's next,
Mike?
buddy?
One of your favorites there, the Chargers. This game we talked about last week. Both teams 0-2 against the Vikings. The loser's basically done for the year. And a great back and forth game, 28-24. But Justin Herbert, Mike, 40 of 47 for 405 yards and 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, just going crazy. Keenan Allen with 18 catches for 215 yards. Mike Williams with 7 catches for 121 yards and a touchdown, and is now hurt and done for the season.
Done for the year.
Tell me if you've heard that before. And I have him on one of my fantasy teams, so I will be looking for another wide receiver.
19 fantasy teams.
Yeah. But very interesting. I mean, both teams had 475 yards. I mean, just, defense optional here, except in the end, right? They intercept the Vikings in the end zone to end the game. But what an offensive shootout, Mike. between two
Yeah,
great quarterbacks and two pretty good offenses.
that's true. That's true, Dave. The
Did I
it's just
say
the
something that wasn't true?
no. I don't know if offensive shootout is what I would maybe put it. Certainly not what it could have potentially been, I guess.
Sure. Yeah, of course.
Especially at the end, neither team would put this away,
Yeah.
including a very controversial. I don't really want my job anymore. Brandon Staley going for it
Oh,
on
yes.
fourth and
Fourth
one
and
in his
one.
own 20 or 22 or something like
Yeah.
that.
And running it
And
up the middle.
running it straight up the middle to nothing, and turning the ball over. Now bailed out by that ball. That Cousins threw was on Hawkinson's hands, just bounced off. I thought I haven't really watched a lot of the replays,
No, I have not
um,
seen that one either.
but in my opinion, watching it live, it hit off of his hands, or at least was semi catchable and bounced in the air, and then, like you said, intercepted in the end zone to end it. So it was very entertaining ending for sure.
Yeah.
Chargers and that coaching staff had to have this game
Yeah.
after all of the close losses and pulling defeat from the jaws of victory. And then, like I said, Staley just caution to the wind. I believe in my guys. The numbers say all of that. Um,
Blah,
I can't
blah, blah, blah,
imagine
blah.
any analytics that would say fourth and short
Mm.
inside your own end like that is
No.
a good idea, but
Nope.
I don't have the numbers they do.
Nope.
But yeah, so two, I don't think ultimately very good teams. Not what we
No.
thought coming into the season. These are two teams that are not maturing or getting better.
Nope, they are not. So, Mike, here's my question for you after this game. The Vikings are now 0-3.
Mm.
So, what will we see first? A Minnesota Twins playoff win,
Ooh.
which they have not had since 2004, or a Minnesota Vikings regular season win? Which will we see first? The playoffs in the Major League Baseball will
Yeah,
start next week. So the
they're probably going to get
Vikings
Texas, right?
have
That once
one
that's off.
chance.
Yeah. Um, and they're going to get beat by Texas handily. So I guess I'd say the Vikings,
Okay.
because that division is still winnable. I don't know that the Lions are going to run away and hide. They're a good team, but they're not
Yeah,
a
they are.
runaway and hide. Maybe they will be.
Yeah.
It could be that they're maturing nicely. They're winning games handily that they should win. Beating the Falcons, which has been a very spunky team already this year, 20-6, and
Yep.
so kudos to them. But the other teams in that division are just not very good. I don't think Green Bay. Although I did say I'm going to give Jordan Love more credit, so
You can give
Green
them
Bay's
more credit, but
probably
that doesn't mean that they're good.
right. Right. I would call Green Bay just above 500.
Yeah.
So can Minnesota get there? Yeah, they won 13, went 13-4 last year. They certainly can rip off wins. The high-powered offense, if Jefferson can stay healthy, and they can continue to get good line play, they're going to have to outshoot people like they did last year.
Yep.
But I'm not
Okay.
ready to say they're not. And then so when you get in the playoffs, anything can happen. So
Yep. Yep.
I have to take a
And
chance on that.
they go
Good
to
question.
0-3 Carolina and are favored by 3.5 this next week.
Gotcha.
And then get the Chiefs after that. So we'll see
Right.
as far as the Vikings go.
So we've alluded to it 97 times. Let's get to Cowboys Cardinals, right?
Yes, yeah, let's do that. It's very interesting, Mike. So in doing my research before the game here, or before the podcast, I should say, and I watched a good amount of this game because it was on.
Yeah.
It
Right.
was the game of the week and whatever. I go back and I look at the team stats, and you look at the team stats, and as I'm going through them, how does Dallas lose this game? I mean, they've got 400 yards of offense, 185 rushing, 230 passing. That they held the ball for 9 more minutes than the Cardinals did. And I'm trying to figure out what the heck goes on. And then I come to two things. First, the penalties, 13 of them for
Yes.
107 yards. But the big one, Mike, was the 1-for-5 performance by the Cowboys in the red zone.
Yep.
And
Yep.
that's what killed them, because everything else, you look at the stats and you go, that they should have won this game, at least by a touchdown. Instead, they lose 28-16. Mike, what did you see?
I saw.
Besides happiness.
Well, I mean, they did kick our ass only 2.5 weeks ago, so I'm not really in
Sure.
a spot to really celebrate. But like I said to you, couldn't happen to a better team. But what I really came away with this game, with are two things, Dave. First of all, the
Yep.
Cardinals, super tough up front on both sides of the ball, controlled the line of scrimmage, ran through that Dallas
Yep.
pass rush, didn't try to go around it. Connor was a beast like he was against us the
Yep.
week before.
222 yards rushing for the Cardinals at 7.4 yards per carry.
And I also came away saying I'd rather have Josh Dobbs as my quarterback than Dak Prescott at this point in their careers.
Wow.
Yeah. And because I don't believe Prescott ultimately is a winner. What has he ever actually won? Nothing at Mississippi State. Nothing so far in Dallas. And this game was a microcosm of Dallas flying high, being one of the three monsters I alluded to earlier, when I was talking about the Giants in the NFC.
Yep.
But when they needed their hero, their captain, he couldn't deliver. And this isn't something I'm saying in a vacuum in this game. This has been building and building and building. And now I think it's at a crisis mode. He's been paid. I think he was right to get paid. They abused this kid early in his career, running the ball and getting, playing with terrible lines. He absolutely deserved to get paid. I don't begrudge anybody that. But that was a commitment by ownership that he's our guy. He's our next Roger Staubach, Daniel White. And he's just not. Troy Aikman, I guess I got to put him in there.
You can't put Danny White in there and not put Troy Aikman in there. I mean, you can, but that's just insulting.
Danny White was trolling, as the kids say.
Yes, yes.
But anyway, I forgot where I was going.
Yeah, well, just with
Dak is just, he doesn't have that dog in him. He just doesn't have that. Win at all costs. I'm superior, cock of the walk, however you want to, the swagger. I don't care. He's a good dude by all accounts. I'm not saying anything about his character or anything else but his quarterback play. He's Kirk Cousins light, in my opinion.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting. So the next 3 weeks.
So you don't even want to touch that subject at all. You just
I will in a second. I will in a second. So
the
next 3 games: Dallas at home for New England, at San Francisco Sunday night, at the Chargers the following Monday. So what is the deal with Dak?
I think that New England defense will be a litmus test.
Right. So you have 2 really good defenses, and again, as Mike has so eloquently put, the Cardinals, defensive line played really well against Dallas. And so now you're going to see New England, and then you're going to see San Francisco. A lot of people say San Francisco might have the best defense in the league. What is Dak going to do? After 2 games, it certainly felt that way. What I wanted to get at with the schedule is looking at, the Cowboys could still, they could win 2 or 3 of the next games and, be 5-1, and we have a different conversation. But
if they do that, we will.
If they do that, we will. But New England, strong defense. San Francisco, strong defense. They very well could be 2-3 going to play the Chargers. Now, they probably will beat New England, because I think New England offensively is just going to struggle.
I agree.
And I think Arizona certainly has more offensive talent there, and they certainly showed it. But Dak Prescott, he still has stuff. he still has stuff to prove. I mean, that's just the
Yeah.
bottom line. He has to have big time success, and he just flat out has not done that. This is a game they should not lose the way they did.
Right. And especially coming off a loss, it's time to, if you're going
Yeah.
to be for real, it's time to be for real.
Oh,
So,
yeah, absolutely. This is a game that those teams that say they're going to be going to the Super Bowl, this is not a game that you lose
right.
that way.
The Sea Chickens take care of the Panthers, 37-27. That's fine with me. I don't know. I didn't really see any of this game, to be frank with you. I've certainly looked at the stats and
No, you could be
the
Mike with me too
instinct.
if you want.
Sure. Anything
Yep.
remarkable there?
Nope.
Oh, we didn't talk about your girl T Swizzle and the
Oh,
Chiefs and the
please.
Bears.
Nah, what is there to talk about? The best thing about
Tuesday.
that game was that the Chiefs were way out in front and they switched to another game.
That's right.
And we got to see the Dallas game because honestly, it was ugly.
We need to talk about the demise of the Bears and Justin Fields. I mean, it's over, right? It's over.
Yeah.
What do you do? I saw.
I mean, it's over except that he's going to have to play out, the season.
Right.
And
right,
then you have to see what happens.
Noah Peterson go. The kid that had the really bad debut all those years ago
with the Bills. Yeah.
Peterman, right?
Yeah, Norm Peterson,
Norm,
whatever.
Right,
Norm.
that guy.
Yes.
As they have this kid that's a backup that's like an undrafted rookie, and that's it. So Field, they're betting on Fields for sure. But I saw a way too soon draft order tweet today, and the Bears are 1, and then they have a pick from Carolina, so they're would be 6 as well. So they're already in
Caleb Williams
mode, or Cam Rising, or
Sam Hartman.
Bo Nix. Do I have to say Bo Nix?
Yeah, you do. Yeah, Bo Nix is
he deserves it.
He is a stud right now for the Oregon Ducks. And as we're talking about the Bears, Mike, leading into what I've already seen people saying as might be the worst NFL game in the history of the NFL coming up, the 0-3 Denver Broncos at the 0-3 Chicago Bears.
Yeah.
The Broncos favored by 3.5 points. Mike, the over under is 46.
Oh my goodness. They couldn't get 46 in 2 games. The Broncos have given up 16 touchdowns in 3 games, Dave. You know how many times they've made the other team punt? In 3 games.
I'm going to say 3.
5.
Oh, okay.
That's about ridiculous. Yep.
Better than I expected.
The Steelers get a nice win against the Raiders, 23-18 on Sunday Night Football. This was, it seemed like a flag fest at the beginning, dude. It was
beginning.
It was
there's a lot of penalties in that game, for sure. As far as that goes,
but Kenny Pickett seemed calmed down a little and a little more accurate. He was 16 for 28 for 235, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, which is important. He only got sacked once, so they kept him clean. And they ran the ball, 31 times. It was only for 105 yards, not what you want, 3.4 average.
Thank you, Joe Girardi.
Yeah, but certainly, helped open up the offense against, a very good Raiders pass rush. The Raiders always have athletes. You might not know their names or where they went to college or where they found them, but they always seem to have
where they found them.
Prison, wherever. They played well on defense, I thought. But Steelers prevail. Nice win for the Steelers.
Yep. Good for them. We talked about, we certainly talked with Jared about the Steelers being feisty, and 2-1 after 3 games, I think is feisty for the Steelers. And, they haven't scored a lot of points, only 56, through the 3 games. but they're tied with Baltimore and Cleveland.
Cleveland was a solid win against a weird Titans team, but
Yeah.
that's really about all I have to say about that game too.
Yep. Yep. The
But,
Titans are not good.
yeah.
Um,
Let's see. So TJ Watt, Dave, is a problem. 2 sacks, two solo tackles, also, but a problem all night. So it'll be interesting to see if he and Bosa can stay healthy, and really go after some sack records here, because they've both been just prolific, and seem, when they're right, as unblockable. Micah Parsons, I have to put in that category as well,
sure.
for
Yep.
sure.
Mm-hmm.
So those three can really, rack up some big numbers, if they keep it up and stay healthy, which, as we know in the NFL, is very difficult. So we had some games. We have the 2 games here as we record on Monday night. Currently, the Eagles are ahead 3-0 at almost the end of the first quarter.
Yep. End of the first.
Um,
Yep.
it would be really nice for me if the Buccaneers can pull this one out, and the NFC East, at least everybody will have lost then if the Eagles could lose tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but
Certainly
there's no
works in
way
the
I'm
Giants'
rooting for the
favor.
mascot. There's no way I'm rooting for the mascot. So, and then kicking off in about 25 minutes, the Bengals and the Rams. I did see Joe Burrow is good to go tonight. Be interesting to see how healthy he is, and if they can.
Well, he's active. They haven't said he's going to start, have they?
I saw that like right before we connected, that
Okay.
his quote was, "I'm good to go."
No. All right.
Yeah. So, and then and a Rams team who I kind of like a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see what they're going to do against what should be a very good Bengals, and probably a little bit desperate Bengals team, at least to shut people up. I think ultimately they're a good football team. Is just not right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, they should
Unfortunately.
be desperate at 0-2.
Right.
But we'll see what
Right.
happens as
Yeah, the
far
way
as that
Miami is
goes.
playing and the Chiefs are playing, the Bills are playing. I think you really the Ravens. Did the Ravens take a stumble this week
Oh, yes, they lost in
against the
overtime against the
Gardner
Colts.
Minshew? Yeah, and
Yeah.
the Colts, which is good for Gardner. I'm bummed that Richardson. Here's another kid that I've gained a little respect for since the season started, but already he's been hurt twice.
Yep. Yep.
And that's really my. He's very inaccurate in my opinion, or at least he was in college, and erratic, but very small also. So
Yes. Yep. So we'll see. But yeah, lots of good
anything week
teams.
4, real quick, buddy? I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. I mean, obviously the huge game. The Dolphins at the Bills in the 1:00 slot. The Bills favored by 2.5 right now. Miami's lost 8 straight in Buffalo, so the Dolphins, looking to break that streak. Mike, the Dolphins are not going to run roughshod against the Bills defense like they did against the Broncos. So it's
I'm pretty sure your coach would come off the bench and tackle people themselves. Woody Hayes back in the day at Ohio State. Yeah.
But it should be just a great. Yes, it should just be a great matchup. Again, in the 1:00.
Such a dismissive yes, Dave.
Yep.
I thought we were tighter than that.
Yeah. Well, as we move on,
okay.
the Ravens at the Browns, both teams 2-1. The Browns favored by 2.5.
Always a slugfest.
Yep. Tampa right now 2-0. Depending on what happens at 2-1 New Orleans. New Orleans favored by 3. So there are some good games.
New Orleans should be 3-0. Man, if Carr's hurt, that's a whole different team.
Yep.
Rams,
absolutely.
Colts, 2 teams that are feisty in NFC AFC match crossover game, but still should be a fun one. Your boy Zach Moss is having a nice little career there for the Colts.
It's taken him a little while, but oh my gosh, they went to him like he was the featured back yesterday, and good for him. Good. I mean, I always liked Zach Moss. It just was one of those things where, from a running perspective, I don't think the Bills really had an identity. We talked about it. They didn't run enough. Who are they using? They should use Zach Moss more.
Right.
So good for him for catching on with the Colts.
Yeah.
Huge NFC East matchup, Mike. Washington at Philly. Should be an
I'm not
interesting.
sold that Washington's as good as they've been getting credit for early.
Oh no, I'm not either.
I
But
mean,
it's a big
especially
matchup,
in defense.
particularly if the Eagles lose tonight, and both teams are 2-1.
Right.
That becomes a big matchup. And
Of
Mike, your
course.
Giants Monday night
Yeah.
at home against the Sea Chickens, favored by 1.5 points, which seems to be a little generous, I would think,
Yes.
given how things are going. But I look, if the Eagles lose tonight, and the Giants have a chance against the Sea Chickens, yeah, they could get back into this. They're certainly not
Sure.
out of the mix by any stretch at 1-2.
Oh no, I don't feel like that
I
quite
mean, they've
yet.
had
I
some
just don't.
disheartening losses for sure,
Right.
but they're not out
Right.
of the mix.
If you Swifties are wondering, the Chiefs at the Jets Sunday
Yeah.
Night Football, 8:20 kick. So get there early, get there often to catch a glimpse
Yep.
of your hero. Apparently, I'm glad Jay's shaking his head and not giving in to this nonsense. And
Nope. I
I
know.
hope this is the last time we talk about it. To be
Yep.
frank,
Nope. I
or
agree.
to be Mike.
And yes, you could also to be Mike. How much the NFL is going to try to flex out of all of these Jets games that they put in prime time and in big
Yeah.
slots.
Yeah.
We're just gonna have to
Well,
continue
Sunday
to
night
watch
they're
that.
not going anywhere. Yeah.
Right. No, I mean this is the thing. This is the Sunday night matchup. And
Yeah.
you've had them on Monday night. You've had these big matchups. They kicked off the season on Thursday night. No, not on Thursday night. Monday night. So
Monday
yeah,
night. Right.
it's the NFL is going to be stuck with a lot of these really bad Zach Wilson Jets,
Yeah.
products on the field. It's just going to be
I'm sure
how
it's
it goes.
it was a calculated gamble at the time. I'm sure they probably win those bets 80% of the time.
Oh, sure.
So
Yeah, I mean you can't.
it's
There's no
hard for me
way.
to weep for them, but I understand what you're saying too as a viewer.
Yeah,
When that's the only game on, it's rough. But
yeah, and you want to
it
watch.
beats doing the laundry, as I like to say.
Sure. Yeah. Oh, it definitely does. But if you want to watch football, you'd like
Yeah.
to see some good games. I always like what um, my good friend there, the Mad Dog, always says: the NFL has too many mouths to feed and not enough good games and not enough good teams.
Yeah.
So when you think about the Thursday night game and then two big Sunday games during the day, Sunday night and Monday, they've got 5 time slots and they don't have enough good teams to fit into those. Also within the parameters of they're trying to rotate everybody gets a Thursday night game and they're trying to get
Right.
teams in lots of spots. You're going to end up with some really
And
bad
predicting
games.
who's going to be good and who's going to be healthy is just
Yep.
impossible.
Yep.
It just
So,
is.
yep. So tough spot for the
Right.
NFL, but yeah, like Mike says, hard time, feeling bad for them when they're just, making money hand over fist and then some.
Like us all, right?
Yeah. Not everybody is making that
Yes.
kind of
Well, we
money,
could
but
be, folks, if you keep watching and subscribing. Like and subscribe. Help us get at least a hand to make a fist with, and we'll figure out what to do with the rest. We would appreciate it, but we do appreciate the longevity on YouTube and on straight podcast. People still listening occasionally on Spotify and other places as well. So appreciate all this time, all the effort Dave's put in. We appreciate that. And looking forward to keep doing this. As you may have noticed, folks, changing podcast studio soon. I've had boxes behind me for a couple months now, it feels like. So
yep.
new location, going to be good for everything. So looking
Yep,
forward to that
Mike's
in
going
the
to be
next couple
stepping
weeks.
into a plush new studio,
Yes, yeah.
enclosed with nice walls and
Uh,
soundproofing and everything else in his dreams, maybe. But he will be
yeah.
changing locations.
Well, there'll
But
be
we
a
will,
producer that can edit and cut clips and insert music and clips and everything we don't know how to do and don't want to take the time to figure out. Anyway,
wow, the old guys are out right now.
yeah.
Woo.
Thanks for listening. Check out Lose With Us as well. If you're still here, you're a fan. So check out Lose With Us every Thursday or Friday, depending on our schedules. We take a foray into the gambling world and see what we can learn. So we would appreciate that as well. Until we talk again here at Think Tank Sports, where we think and you listen as we strive for five. Good night, everybody.
See ya.